Like, seriously, you wankers, what the fuck is going on?
Now, originally when this trailer came out, I didn't actually know what to think of the Jimmy we actually got in the end, because, well, he's a coke addict and he looks a bit strange. However, I shouldn't have judged too quickly, because I ended up actually really liking this character. Once again, it seems that Overkill's gone with the idea of having a movie crossing, which never really ends badly. I mean, John Wick had a bit of a rocky start, but then he just became a joke of the game and everybody likes him now, so I consider that a win. We also had Point Break with Bodhi. Even though I haven't really said much about the Point Break heist, I actually prefer the heist over Bodhi himself. He's a nice character, but he doesn't really stand out much to myself. However, with Jimmy, he really does. So in the trailer, when we see Jimmy, at first you see this like badass gangster kind of character who's like that stereotypical British gangster from those old movies, and then you know he's overly British when he says,
"That's just not cricket."
I mean, come on, would you ever expect an American person to say that? No. You would expect someone British to say it, because cricket's quite a British thing for some reason. I don't understand cricket, I don't really care to find out. And then once he shoots himself, I was kind of confused, thinking, wasn't that meant to be who we were getting in the game? But then I thought back to at the start where you saw Blondie just kill a waitress with, I don't know, magic. So I was thinking he'd come back to life. But no, open door, what do you get? It's a coke version of Jimmy.
Hello!
Walking clear!
Lads, are fucking terrible negotiators. Number one.
And I immediately started laughing, because at the time I thought, really, Overkill, is this where you're going? But then I watched the rest of the trailer. Then I thought how funny it was. Then I played the game, and I realised how bloody cool Jimmy is. It's one thing to have the voice actor of the character actually from the film be the voice actor in the game compared to the last two, but he's just really good and really funny. I mean, take a listen to some of these voice lines.
Hey. Holy shit! No, all good, Control. All good. I just dropped me sandwich and freaked out a bit, sorry. Make love to the fucking ground, man! I just came out here to think about Bowie, you know? And just feeling really bummed out. R.I.P, mate. My bad. I was going to text the wifey, but got the radio mixed up with my cell phone. I was trying to text her on this. Sorry about that.
Hilarious, right? I know. But the thing I really like about Jimmy is he really does stand out in the crowd. I mean, you've got Jackie, who's a psychopath. Wolf's a bit of a psychopath. And then there's Jimmy, who I'm pretty sure has no idea what the hell's going on half the time because he's so coked up.
That was fucking loud!
But enough about just talking about the trailer, let's actually look what this update gave us. So with the Jimmy character pack, you got Jimmy himself, a new melee weapon, 2 new masks, the Heather SMG with also a Kimbo, and finally the Maniac perk deck. Now, I'm going to do what I normally do and get the least important or the most dull parts of the pack out of the way first, and then focus on the positives as well afterwards. So the first thing I'm going to talk about isn't the mask today, it's the melee weapon. Now, a lot of people have been saying to me I can't really complain about this because it's a free update. However, Overkill have now claimed they're focusing on making melee weapons seem more unique and stand out. So why are the ballistic knives a bloody carbon copy of a melee weapon we already have in the game? And it does the exact same thing. The stats are the same, animations are pretty much the same, it's just a different knife. I personally don't really care much about melee weapons anymore, but Overkill, you can't really state you're working on this kind of stuff when it's just a copy and paste. You can say it's because it's a movie tie-in, but that doesn't give you a solid reason to just go and do that. If you're going to claim to be doing something, you have to do it. Now the next thing would be the mask, and there's 2 masks this time. There's Jimmy's first ever mask, which is just funny, because I mean it's goddamn duct tape. It's kind of clever how they've done it. And then you've also got the one which is helped made by Gage, which is the White Death. The White Death is more what Jimmy's mask should be because he would fit into the Payday gang. However, in the game, you're actually stuck with the duct tape mask as his default. Now, I actually asked you guys on Twitter what you guys thought should be the default mask. And from the results so far, it seems that you guys actually want the White Death to be the mask. However, there's a lot of people who prefer the original. Now, for myself, I don't really mind either. It's a conversation me and Given brought up. While the White Death does look like it would be more the professional kind of mask, to me, and this is the first thing I thought, the original mask from Jimmy is an actual literal version of Jimmy Begins. So you know how with each heist you've got Dallas and then Dallas Begins, which is just a pure white mask. for Jimmy, Jimmy Begins is the duct tape mask. That's his original mask from the trailer, and that's where Jimmy kind of begins becoming a heist with the Payday gang, so it only really makes sense that that's how it would work. So, unless I'm wrong, I'm going to say well done to Overkill for that one, because that was pretty clever and I actually like that. I'm hoping that's what they were going for. If not, then you just missed a golden opportunity. And something like this actually works for Jimmy's character again because of how he acts. And as you can see from there, we're going on to Jimmy himself. So at first, when the trailer came out, like I've explained, people were kind of confused and some were quite pissed off that the Jimmy we got was the coke addict. However, for myself, this was the first heister besides Clover who I thought, you know what, I'm really going to like this one. I don't even need to play it, I just know I'm going to like it. And I was right. Jimmy has already become one of my top 4 heisters at the moment because just his personality himself is just pure gold. The way he talks, the way he acts is just quite amusing. It's like one of those old gangster films. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but you always have that coke addict character, and they're either really intimidating or really fucking weird. I think Jimmy falls into the weird side, however he can be intimidating at points. Another thing I like about Jimmy is actually the design of the heister. He's wearing a suit which is, well, pretty much normal for Payday, but it's quite rough and ripped and it's got coke and blood on it, which I think, again, fits more for his kind of character. The one little gripe I have though is he's not wearing the same red shirt as he was in the trailer. Honestly, I prefer him to be looking like he did in the trailer because I think that looks cool, because you could just imagine 3 people in suits and then Jimmy there, standing there in whatever that is, just looking like an idiot. One of the things I've noticed as well, I can't get any examples, but I've seen it on subreddit and everything, with Jimmy's hair there's been a couple of issues with some masks, but we had the same with Bonnie, with the anonymous mask where hair will stick through, and there's Clover's hair which is still a buggy mess. So I'm not gonna hang that over their head too long. I mean, if it carries on for like months on end, then yes, I probably will, but it depends how quickly they fix it. Also, one other thing before I forget to mention, I've just noticed, I looked at a couple of videos to do with his voice lines, and I saw a comment saying that apparently I sound like Jimmy. I really don't see this, my friends don't see this, I would love to know why. Is it because I'm British? I'm sorry that I'm British, but I don't sound like a coke addict. Right, 2 more things to go through and then we're pretty much done. So now we're going to have a look at the Maniac perk deck. This perk deck has gotten a lot of like mixed views on it, and I can see why. However, I think a lot of the people might be a bit biased towards things like Muscle, Grinder, Gambler, Ex-President, because it's about health. With Maniac, it's more about supporting your team and making sure they stay up longer. This is purely by the fact of you do damage to cops and eventually you fill up a little bar and you get more armor to buff yourself and your teammates as well. It's more of a team playing perk deck. However, a lot of people do not like that. I don't see why in Payday a lot of players don't like having perk decks which are built around helping each other. I mostly see people like myself included, I can't lie about this. I will use stuff like Muscle because I get health back. People use Grinder with Dodge because it gets some health back. Can you see where I'm going with this? We rely on health perk decks way too much. And the thing is, a lot of character packs have come out with these pretty much game-changing or overpowered perk decks. I mean, take out Dragon and Giro for a second because I haven't really looked into their perk decks properly because it never interested me. But let's look at Clover, Sokol and Bodhi. And actually, Bonnie as well could be used for this one. So with Clover you introduce Burglar. Burglar is a stealth perk deck which was, let's be fair, it was needed, and it's now the go-to stealth perk. You have to pay for this, of course, but it's pretty much, if you want to stealth, this is the perk deck to go for. Sokol introduced Grinder. Grinder brought a new way to play the game in, and it also was very, very overpowered when it first came out. It's still kind of overpowered now, as I was watching someone yesterday play Deathwish solo with Grinder, and they were just powering through it. With any other perk deck, you're going to have a bit of a struggle with this. The fact that only one perk deck is like the go-to besides Rogue kind of needs a bit of work. Gambler is the same, but it actually works better for teamwork. So this is something that I will explain later goes well with Maniac. But with Gambler, you pick up ammo, you get health back. It applies for everybody, so good, jolly good. Then there's Ex-President, which again is very similar to Grinder, but it works a bit slower. And it's all about health. So these 4 heisters are all focused on health. So many perk decks in this game are focused on healing us rather than like buffing our armor or making us better with weapons, which in one way is good because you're always looking to get more health because first aid kits and many bags are a pain. But it's a problem for players because when this perk deck was introduced, I'm coming, one of my friends said this, but he immediately said it was bad because there's no health regen. I'm pretty sure he was joking, but there's people out there who aren't. We focus on health perk decks way too much. And I'm going to be honest, for a Tech Forcer, Maniac is a perfect perk deck for it. It doesn't give you much armor, but it's more about defending your teammates, which, I'll be honest, I've played with and without it with the same crew, and they've actually been up a lot longer thanks to Maniac. And when I was playing with a couple of friends the other day, we got Gambler and we got Maniac put together, and it's a really good combo. The thing with Payday is it's a cooperative game, so cooperative means working together. A lot of these perk decks are more about saving your own ass rather than your team's. I would rather use Maniac myself if I know no one else was using it, just to help my team go along. If they're using something like dodge or just like basic armor, I'm going to be using a Tech Forcer build with heavy armor and a lot of armor to keep myself safe. I get a little bit of a buff from Maniac and I can give it to my teammates. I don't see what's wrong with that. I actually think that's a really good method of playing the game, and it makes you feel good because you're helping your team, which is all I want to do, is just help people. There's so much to ask. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, "Ben, you don't know fucking shit about video games, you're just some bastard with a list," which is probably true, don't get me wrong. However, I feel like healing perk decks are just so overdone. We need something new to refresh how to play the game, but because of being stuff like Grinder, that's never going to happen because so many people are just locked on like this narrow vision of just Grinder or Muscle are the only perk decks to use. Well, you can argue with me, oh, I use something like Yakuza, which is great. It's great using another perk deck. The majority of users use the same thing. It's like when perk decks first came out and Fugitive was introduced. Rogue was the go-to. I remember playing so many games where it was just dodge build after dodge build. If you had armor, people would stick you for it. Then they changed it, and now it's, if you use Rogue, you'll get stick for it, because half the time it's not going to bloody work. I could go on for ages talking about why the perk deck system is broken, but that might be a video for another time with a couple of other YouTubers to help me with. But for now, I just want to focus on what the Jimmy Pack brought, and finally, we're going to be looking at the SMGs. And with this one, they actually introduced Akimbo, which for a long time I've wanted Akimbo SMGs because, I mean, look at the mini Uzi from the Yakuza pack. That seems like it should have two, which would be amazing if they just went back and did it. I'd be more than happy to try it. But the thing is with the Heather SMGs, while they are amazing to use, I absolutely love them, I don't like using them with Akimbo. They're good to have for bulldozers, however if you get tased you pretty much just wasted like a quarter of your ammo. And a lot of players see Akimbo as like, this is like my new assault rifle guys, I'm gonna go shoot someone and still have loads of ammo. With the Heather, you're going to lose that ammo. It's very inaccurate, of course, because it's an SMG with high fire rates, and you have piss poor stability. Purely because you're holding it with one hand, there's no way to keep that thing stable. And from using it myself, I like it, but it's just, I'm never going to use it. It might just be because I don't like Akimbo in Payday, but the Heather seems better as one SMG for me than two. I had more fun using the one, while I did like the idea of having two in my hand, to be fair. Anybody can agree that is bloody amazing to have. I honestly prefer just using the one. Now, a thing with SMGs is not just this one, it's, to me, SMGs have always felt a bit underpowered. Now, this could be because skills aren't really focused on it, or it might just be something else. However, I feel like the Heather is one of the top tier SMGs. It's fun to use, it has a nice sound, and it looks great. The only thing I've noticed is in the third person models, there's a little bug of the Akimbos will have the ACOG sights on them. I don't know why, it's just weird, but really besides that, all I can say is the only things I didn't like about this pack have to have been the fact of Jimmy's shirt isn't red, which I'm working on the mod to make anyway, so it's not really the end of the world, and really the melee weapons were a bit of a disappointment. However, talking back at the pack altogether, it's a great pack. The fact that it's free makes it even better. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really pleased for Overkill for doing this, and then we're getting 2 free heists next Thursday. I cannot wait to see what's coming up for this, because this is pretty much replacing our Spring Break event. Overkill have confirmed this on a Reddit post, and you know what? I'm happy with that. Spring Break was a bit of a disappointing event really, because it was something we had to fund like a Kickstarter, and then got, well, Foxman's Revenge could have been better. But with this, so far it's been going well, and the trailer was good, the pack was good. I'm really looking forward to these heists, and I really hope Overkill doesn't let us down. And you know what? I don't think they will. The Point Break crossover was amazing. Beneath the Mountain is one of my favourite heists, and I am actually going to be talking about that very soon, but for now, I will see you when the heist comes out.